All right, moving on. Obviously, the ship of the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury has sailed away. Are we still thinking about Anthony Joshua going out in December against a top 15 guy? Is that all we're looking at?
Well, firstly, you know, the deadline passed 2 weeks ago. Right. But he's still negotiating a fight with somebody else. Okay. Tyson. I'm not quite sure why that deadline was applied 2 weeks ago, but look, like you say, that's old news now. So I spoke to Derek Chisora last night. He's reviewing the contract and the offer. I think he will ultimately get that fight with Tyson Fury, the trilogy with Derek Chisora in December. And really now it's up to AJ to see if he goes on December 17 or waits till January or February. And the decision hasn't been made yet. You know, it's a bit of a blow not fighting Tyson Fury, and it's a bit of a sort of mojo come down. Right. So he's got to just, you know, weigh up whether he's going to go December 17 or, as I said, just give himself a little bit of extra time. So that's a decision he'll make in the next week or so.
Well, just so I can have some clarity, I see that Tyson wants to fight somebody, but is it that Usyk wasn't ready as, you know, for December? Is that why?
I mean, listen, Brett, I know it won't be popular opinion. Yeah. I don't believe he wants to fight Usyk. You know, he didn't want to fight him before, but in you know, to support Tyson in that fact, Usyk wasn't ready in December. Okay. You know, he just come off the AJ fight. He said he's got a few injuries, few niggles. Okay. I'm going to be ready in February. So I think in Fury's head, he's going to take what he believes will be an easy fight in December and then go into Usyk maybe in February or March.
Has AJ shot any names your way? If, you know, in other words, saying, hey, Eddie, look, if the Tyson thing doesn't work out, man, I think I might want this guy. I might want Joe Joyce. Or I might want, has he shot?
Yeah, I mean, he wants, you know, I always felt that after the Usyk fight, he should come back with 2, you know, top 15 guys. Then Fury dangled the carrot and AJ took the bait. But now that's not happening. I think still the same plan, really. You know,
is
top
Deontay
2,
Wilder
15.
still on the agenda?
Yeah, I mean, again, he could choose to take that fight next, but I think it's likely you'll see him in with a top 15 guy again. Like, and this is nothing to do with Conor Benn, but sometimes I read stuff and I just think, like, you know, AJ's made an offer to Chris Arreola. Absolute rubbish. Next thing, that's reported in every newspaper. I've not even spoke to Chris Arreola about a fight. Like, and then that's everywhere. You know, so it's
that's amazing.
So, but and by the way, I'm not saying that's a bad fight. I'm just saying we've not reached out to him at all about that fight. So I don't know. You know, Otto Warling's name gets thrown around. You know, sometimes obviously had a good fight with Tyson Fury. Yeah. Anyone in that top 15. Joe Joyce is a good fight, a tough fight. You know, I think he's a handful for anybody. That could be a big UK fight.
That's a big fight.
Yeah. But I think that for me, see what happens with AJ's team. You know, if he doesn't get the Fury fight, which he doesn't look like he will, I think we revert to 2 quick fights to, you know, get the machine moving, the confidence back in the bid to become a 3-time world heavyweight champion.
Eddie, does AJ ever mention a trilogy? Because that's really what goes over very well. Yeah. In heavyweight boxing.
Not really? I mean, he was getting closer. Are you talking about the Usyk fight?
No, of course not. I'm talking about Andy Ruiz. I'm sorry.
Oh, right. No, I mean, not really. I mean, he won every round in the last fight.
Right. Still, you don't think maybe if Andy Ruiz wanted that, you don't think maybe he deserves it?
You know what, Brett? Yeah, I saw Andy Ruiz call out Tyson Fury. No one ain't fighting Andy Ruiz in a hurry, right? He's a handful. Yeah. And we found that at Madison Square Garden. And AJ dealt with him in Saudi Arabia. But he's a handful. And I think Wilder Ruiz is a great fight. We'll see what happens in the Helenius fight. But if Wilder wins that fight, I think I would love to see Andy Ruiz against Deontay Wilder. And I mean, I really fancy Andy Ruiz in that fight. I think he's the smaller guy, you know, winging those shots in over the top. If he can get on the inside of Wilder, and Wilder can beat anybody on his day. He has great power.
I think Wilder does very good against shorter fighters. Very, very good. You know.
We'll see. But listen,
which against who, Greg?
Against Spilka You know, against
Mate.
any fighter that are shorter, he keeps them at distance, and he lands at the end of his punch. You know,
you're talking about he did well against Spilker. I mean, Rick Chisora iced Spilker in 3 rounds. Like, I mean,
I'm just saying that when he has the distance like that, he just does better with shorter fighters. He set up Luis Ortiz. He set up Luis Ortiz easy with that.
I personally think a guy like Andy
set him up easy. He lost every round against Luis Ortiz in a rematch.
I mean, he lost every round, but it's not like he was getting beat up.
Yeah, but Andy's the type of guy.
He wasn't even getting hurt. He wasn't even getting hurt in that second.
Barack, I think he has a tough time with guys that get close to him because it's hard for him to fight on the inside.
That's what I think.
Andy's right.
But the first fight with Luis Ortiz, he hurt Luis Ortiz on the inside with an uppercut. So it's not like he also nearly got stopped.
He also nearly got stopped in that fight.
He did.
He did. And came back and knocked him out.
What I'm saying is Andy Ruiz is a nightmare for tall guys because his movement is so good and it's difficult for small guys to get on the inside. But he does get on the inside and he's not afraid to let him go when he gets there. And he's not afraid to trade. But Wilder has the power to take anybody out, including Andy Ruiz. But it's a great fight.
Yeah. All right, listen, Eddie, moving on really quick before you get out of here. Ironically enough, you're in Australia and you got your own business to handle. But your buddy Devin Haney is defending his undisputed straps against George Kambosos. I don't know what the time is when the main event walkouts are, but are you going to be trying to tune into the fight if your business is done with?
It's actually the day after. We go Saturday night in Australia live on DAZN and they go Sunday morning. It's like a 10 o'clock in the morning thing. It's a bit weird, but it's for prime time US. So I was just out talking to some boxing guys in Australia. They're not giving George a lot of hope in this one because of Devin's dominant performance last time out. But George has been quiet in the build-up to this fight. He's trying a different approach, and I love George Kambosos. I think he's a great guy, but I just see Devin winning every round again. Mm-hmm. Like I just think his confidence is there. He knows the game plan. He's a very smart fighter, and I just see him winning a clear points victory again. I think.
I was talking to Barack yesterday. If you were still in charge of Devin's career, we had a debate on who should he fight next, because we do see him winning this fight against George fairly easily. No disrespect to George. They're lining up the Lomachenko fight, but I feel like there are other options out there, at least if fights could be made easier. What direction would you go in? Would you go straight for Loma, or would you try to do a Shakur fight, or a Tank fight, or a Ryan fight? What would be your approach?
I think that Devin doesn't really get the credit that he deserves. He's never really ducked a challenge. I mean, I remember when we were working with him, he was chasing Lomachenko, right? And then Lomachenko got made emeritus, and he got male, what was known as made email champ. But it wasn't his fault. He was chasing those guys. Now he's gone over to Australia and won. But I still don't think he gets the credit as one of the top guys. Like, you always see people talking about Tank and even Ryan Garcia and.
We give him the credit. We give him the credit he deserves.
Yeah, you do. But I think that the sport, I mean, certainly the casual fans don't, because they like to see guys knocking people out like Tank and stuff like that. But Devin, he's done amazing. And I think I would still like to see him fight Tank. I would still like to see him fight Ryan Garcia. I mean, from a purist perspective, Devin against Shakur is, it probably wouldn't be the most exciting fight to watch. But from a purist perspective, Shakur is pound for pound top fighter, and Devin should be, on the back end of that list as well.
Yes.
Lomachenko, again, I think Devin's days at 135 won't be long. He was really struggling at that weight towards the back end of our relationship, but at the same time, he seems to be making it comfortably, and he's a real professional. But I think you're going to see Devin moving up to 140, and maybe that's a fight against Teofimo once those belts become, fragment and become vacant. But I think
would you work with Devin again if the opportunity presented itself? Would you work with Devin again?
Of course. Got nothing but respect for him and Bill. And look, we had a dream together to see him become undisputed. And although I didn't get the very last bit, I had a great time with him. And I think he's a great fighter, great young man. And, the door will always be open.
All right, last question, Eddie. Do you think that the public are going to be surprised for this fight against Paro and Jarvis, 2 undefeated guys? You think they're going to be surprised at the outcome?
Yeah, you got. I saw this fight as a really natural fight to make for Australia. You got Liam Paro, #1 in the world, ready to fight again. Him at 140 for a world title. He's 22-0. Brock Jarvis is 20-0. Like, it's a great clash of styles.
First fight at 140.
Huh?
His first fight at 140.
First fight at 140, but an absolute monster.
Yeah,
Wait till you see him. I mean, like, he's been, this is his 8th weight division. Brock Jarvis,
Yes,
unbelievable.
yes.
He's still,
I mean, literally goes up every single fight.
I know, but he's, he could easily fight at 147. And, he's got Jeff Fennick, the Australian legend, in his corner. They really have big hopes for him over here. But it's a really good, solid 50-50 fight. And, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, as always, Eddie, good chopping up with you.
Cheers, guys.
Australia, we'll
Yes,
talk
sir.
soon. Cheers.
Take it easy, brother.